In this chapter, we are going to be exploring the impact that culture has on our communication. We're going to start by looking at the relationship between culture and identity, then looking at the dimensions of culture that were coined by social psychologist Gerard Hofstede, before finally talking about intercultural communication and becoming more competent at intercultural communication. So first, let's talk about some of the foundations of culture and identity. Humans have always been diverse in their cultural beliefs and practices. We've always belonged to different groups and different tribes, and those groups and tribes have been diverse in nature. But before we get any further, let's talk about a definition of culture. Culture is the ongoing negotiation of learned and patterned beliefs, attitudes, values, and behaviors. Now, notice that none of this definition of culture has to do with anything relating to nationality or the country that you come from. And that's because we look at culture as a much more broad and widespread thing. We look at it as any negotiation of learned and patterned beliefs, attitudes, values, and behaviors. And there are a number of different principles that we know to be true about culture. First is that culture is negotiated among the members within that culture. That culture is dynamic, meaning that the cultural changes can be traced and analyzed in order to better understand why our society is the way it is. Culture is learned, in that it is taught to us by our family and our school and our peers and the media. And that culture is patterned. So it is recognizable and widespread similarities exist among people within a cultural group, and sometimes these patterns change over time. Ultimately, culture influences our beliefs about what is true and false, our attitudes, including our likes and dislikes, our values regarding what is right and wrong, as well as our behaviors, what we do. So as you can see, culture is a pervasive part of our identities. So we're going to talk a lot about how culture impacts our identity and therefore how it impacts our communication.